One. Welcome back, everybody, to Springing into Football, where today will mark our 6th episode of the 3rd season. Less than a week away from our first game being at Lynn Family Stadium, which will take place consisting of the Birmingham Stallions and the Louisville Kings. We have had a whirlwind of events that have taken place since we last took the air on Spotify and YouTube here at Springing into Football. We wanted to get all of our original members back on. Unfortunately, 3 out of the 4 could make it. Myself, AJ, and Diego. AJ and Diego, thanks for joining us tonight. As we have a lot to unpack here from the last time we took the air, but it's a fun time, especially with everything that's been happening in the last couple months and weeks, with the halftime shows being finalized, with some of those names coming out and people reacting to that on social media and such, as well as the rosters being finalized, which we'll get into that here shortly, as well as just overall vibes. I know the fans are at a lot higher volume right now at this point of the year, with where we are at attendance, just in terms of estimated ticket sales compared to last year, right? So it's a fun time in spring football. We are less than a week away. Obviously, other events also competing with us, including March Madness. That usually has in the past as well, given that we have started on this exact weekend in past spring football seasons. So it's nothing new. I'm sure they already have a plan for that, if it ever will be of conflict. But no, it's an exciting time in spring football, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have tonight. Raf will probably get his predictions to us at some point in the week, which also reminds me we'll get predictions to you guys for week 1 at the end of this episode as well. So let's dive right into it. So final rosters set. What do you guys think? Anybody stand out to you? Obviously, AJ, a converted Storms fan from the Stallions, and Diego, the most loyal Stallions fan there is, and then myself, a converted Aviators fan. So I also have some of those different roots that I've kind of moved on from a previous team. But did anything stand out to you guys in kind of reading the final rosters? And if so, maybe a couple players, or if not, you can also mention really just anything that's happened in these last couple months. What has stood out to you guys?
I think to start off, I really like how that Louisville Kings running back room is looking. It consists of 3 running backs: Benny Snell, Jaden Sheridan, and Ian Wheeler. It's worth noting that James Robinson unfortunately did not make the cut, which made some pretty significant news these last week or so. But no, I really like how that running back looks. Snell played in the NFL for a while. Sheridan made some pretty big trends with the Panthers last season. And then Wheeler, as a Bears fan myself, I liked watching him in preseason, so I know he has a burst of energy. But no, I mean, I think the rosters are looking pretty good, and I think we should make for some great games. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also wanted to throw in there, before I let AJ get his word in here, that the Kings wide receiver room also looks very, very decorated to my what I'm seeing here. I mean, Jonathan Adams, Isaiah Winstead, Javonte Payton, Lucky Jackson. I mean, some names we know, some names we're pretty familiar with. So just wanted to throw that out there. I'm sure there's a lot of other trending position rooms and other positions that are of note across the league. But AJ, I wanted to hear what you had. Does anything stand out to you with about less than a week to go for our first game?
Yeah, I'm gonna speak a little on the Storms roster because I've looked at them a little more closer. Their DB room, they have Lamar Jackson, Micah Abraham, and Mark Gilbert. Some guys that are pretty good. Lamar Jackson played a little bit in the NFL. And then Mark Gilbert, of course, he's been in spring football the last couple of years. And then looking at their wide receiver room, They got KJ Hamler, Chris Rowland, and just their entire team looks nice. But something I was thinking about is just last year, the quarterback, their offense, it was AJ McCarron. So now it goes to DTR possibly or Jack Plummer. But it's interesting to see the different play style of the quarterback, how the offense runs for the Storm. Does it run similar, or do they try to go into a more of a RPO, something like that?
Yeah, that is something that will be interesting. Obviously, with Coach Anthony Becht, you're expecting more of that air raid offense with what he's used to with AJ McCarron and all the great quarterbacks that he's coached in spring football. So I would be on the lookout for what they have in store. But I know
one thing I want to add on really quick is the St. Louis Battlehawks quarterback room. I found it really interesting that quarterback Michael Pratt recently came back to the Battlehawks.
Yep.
Ben Woolridge was recently released. I'm assuming probably because he just didn't perform the same way as the other two. And from what I've seen, Pratt just had a change of heart. And I know before he was released, a lot of people were high on him. So it's just really going to be interesting to see who Ricky Prohl decides to name as his quarterback one, and just how the Battlehawks are going to assemble themselves after Anthony Becht coached them for so long.
Yeah. And I'm looking at their roster also, something that, obviously they are one of the teams that has returned and didn't really have a lot of changes, but the wide receiver room looks pretty consistent, like constant to me, like doesn't seem to be very much different names. And we have Ja'Cour Pearson, Frank Darby, Hakeem Butler, Blake Jackson, Justin Smith, a couple different names stand out, but really, consistent in a lot of their position rooms. And, I would say the defenders also carry that trend too, but Birmingham, though, a little bit different. Obviously one of the returning teams, but have seen some more newer faces, I should say. Right. So, those are just some of my observations. I'm really just going through the XFL Analyst Instagram page. He does a great job. We appreciate Michael Del Negro for his work, and really every page that provides us content to go off of. It always helps, especially for a podcast like this. We do count on a lot of outside help from various Instagram and Twitter sources. So it's great to really have them on our shoulders. So we appreciate them, and we'll go ahead. We want to move on here to the next part. So notable cuts. I know we kind of got into it a little bit, but did anybody kind of stand out to you guys? Outside of potentially James Robinson, and I know a couple other names you guys had here: Nate Brooks, Marquez Stevenson. I know Nate Brooks was a surprising one. Our friend Eli wasn't very happy to see him go for. I believe he was on the Battlehawks, right? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So he used to play for the Stallions too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So listen, that is a surprising one, and James Robinson would have been great to keep in spring football. Just with his short but pretty good NFL resume, I'd say. Obviously he did get hurt, and it would be nice for a comeback story. Someone who is pretty young, I would say. Doesn't obviously the Louisville Kings running back room is still really good, so I don't think they're going to have. I'm not going to say that they're not going to be missing much, but they have other answers at running back. So, but yeah, if you guys didn't have any notable cuts, we can get into.
I have a few cuts that I want to note from the Stallion side. So as you guys know, in our last episode, we interviewed Cam Eccles-Looper, who was originally going to play for the Stallions. Unfortunately, he did not make the cut. I believe he got injured, or I heard he may have been put in a boot. So I think maybe after he returned, he just didn't assume he probably didn't play the same way. It's unfortunate, but I'm still happy that we had the chance to get him on the podcast. And then wide receiver Marcus Sims was also a notable cut. I knew that with this receiver room as a whole, it was always going to be hard to really cut down because I assume we're carrying 7 to 8 receivers this season. So it's just a really hard room to cut down. And then defensive tackle Marvin Wilson was another notable cut. Had about 2.5 sacks and just was a constant pass rusher last season. But of course, best of wishes to him. But I mean, I think our roster still looks great in the end. I think Agent McCarron's done a great job so far.
Yeah, I will say that I can't believe I forgot about that. I mean, we were on with him. That was our most recent episode. AJ, it would have been great if you were on with us. We understand that you weren't, but we will have, I promise you, we will have much more opportunities similar to that. We will definitely be in touch with other similar stature players, whether that's in the season, a little after the season. I'm sure we can always talk. I know Raf's always finding us some people to chop it up with. So, but no, yeah, that is one cut I did forget about. It's sad to see him go, and we were really rooting for him, but we understand that every team has to make the best decision for their organization, and sometimes it just doesn't end up working out. But it was great to hear him provide us with the insight, like for any aspiring football players, not even just spring football, really any type of level, whether you're high school, JUCO, NAIA, D3, D2, D1, etc. So it was really good just getting that perspective. So AJ, did you have any notable cuts that you wanted to mention, or what do you think?
Mine was the same thing about the Stallions.
Okay.
Their wide receiver room is great. They got a lot of great names, so there had to be somebody who got cut. But whoever gets Cam Eccles, whoever gets him, they got a great receiver, a receiver who can start. They got a great wide receiver room.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But James Robinson, that was a bit of a surprise for me. But at the same time, it has been a minute since he played, so maybe it just was. It's been a minute, and it took him a minute to get around, and so that's why he was cut. But just to every guy that was cut, we might see them on different teams before the season starts, or at some time, or they might come back. So it'll be interesting to see what guys kind of are cut now, but play a big role towards the end of the season, because it seems like every year there are guys who didn't necessarily start the year, who towards the end of the year they're big names. So it'll be interesting to see if one of these guys who will cut end up being that towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we will definitely see those who were cut on another NFL roster. Obviously, not true for some of them, but I think we'll probably see about half of who was cut on another UFL roster. Just with if we're using the information and the data like from past seasons, right? Like we've easily seen players who've gotten cut in the preseason process, land on another team's roster at some point. Usually injuries, could potentially play a role in that. If not, then player doesn't play as well, doesn't exceed expectations, doesn't live up to expectations, and that's when you consider adding some of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how those take place. I wanted to get into another roster move. This one being our next topic. Taulia to Houston. I'm still learning how to say his name because we're so used to saying Tua, but Taulia Tagovailoa, Tua's brother, to Houston, actually came out this morning. Was a little bit different of a news break, though, because I did mention a couple minutes ago that we do rely on a lot of outside sources to provide us with news and information, but this one actually came from the IFL team that he was on, the Orlando Pirates, which is the tweet I sent in the group chat that everybody saw. But like kind of the first motion, I also sent it in the PFN Discord. And then people were like, what? And then we're like, James Larson's sleeping and all this, and it was really getting heated in there. And Jaron Horton also chimed in as well. But no,
Good old Jaron Horton.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch with him. I've recently been in touch with him. We got one of our group chat members to get a little gig hooked up with them too about video editing. So we're excited for our fellow group chat member to do that. And I'm sure we'll be in contact. That's actually the closest contact I had with him, because we tried to get him on the podcast a couple years ago, and it's crazy. He needed a video editor, and he came after I told him I had one. He rung the bell, so he DM'd me about that. So hopefully, Jaron Horton, if you're listening to this, we'd love to have you on a future episode. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let's take it back to Taulia Tagovailoa to the Houston Gamblers. What do you guys think?
I think, just hearing about it, I think not only is it good name recognition for the league, but also like how is this gonna shape out? Because I know he's like kind of like a butt of like some certain jokes within football as a whole, but I mean at the same time, if you're in his shoes, this is another opportunity for him. And I think making the jump from the IFL to the UFL is great for any player. I mean, we saw that with Devontae Turpin. But what I'm also wondering is what quarterback is he going to replace? Because the Gamblers already have their set three. And I think what I assume, I feel like quarterback Donovan Smith will probably be the odd man out, because I don't see Hunter Eckers or Nolan Henderson being cut, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, like you said, Donovan Smith, the QB3 right now on the roster. So, like I said, I kind of agree with you. I think that is probably the most likely route to happen. But again, anything can happen on these teams, and they have a good wide receiver room this year. So I wouldn't be, I would. Every team has a good wide receiver room. Nothing really just comes to me and says like, oh, well, they're not gonna figure it out. I'm looking at their roster, and they might not have the best quarterbacks, but they will, whoever's out there, as long as they give it their all and they do their part, I think they'll, they might be able to win some games. So, AJ, what'd you think? I mean, when you saw that news, I know it was Sunday morning, a little unexpected, but
it wasn't too surprising. I had somewhat thought maybe he would have gotten drafted or been on the roster earlier. But I mean, that is a good question about who would he replace. Because I mean, I don't see him replacing Nolan Henderson or Hunter Deckers. And I mean, Donovan Smith, I feel like he's pretty good, but like you said, he's just the odd man out. It just kind of how it falls. But I mean, I think it's a good signing. I don't think he'll start right away, but if we see them kind of have a rough start, we might see him come in toward and get a shot. But at the same time, I'd expect Donovan Smith to be still in contact with Houston Gamblers, because injuries always happen, and you never know when he's got to step up, and he probably knows the playbook a little more. So I would assume that it would be Donovan Smith, like Diego said. But overall, I think it's a good signing. It's a name that people know. And even if they only watch because of him, it's a couple more eyes that you get on the product.
Yeah, and something also worth noting about that is that it's not only that, like, obviously there could be an injury in the making, and I'm not manifesting anything whatsoever, but I'm saying that, with a couple days to go before kickoff, we can potentially see the Gamblers removing one of their quarterbacks. I believe we've seen this in the past where these teams have signed a player, whether it's a couple days before a game, like during the season, or a couple days before the games, like before the season even starts. And then we find out, oh, they're moving one of these players to injured reserve. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'd rather actually it not happen. I'd rather, player just take over. But again, like you were saying, I would say Donovan Smith knows the playbook more. It's unlikely that Tua's brother, Taulia, comes in and takes over right away. He's going to have to learn that offense. And yeah, if he does end up coming in, I mean, I think he can provide them a spark. We might have to ask our friend Eli, who's very versed in the arena space, to give us some insight. But I know a lot of folks are familiar with his college ball. I was getting some opinions in the PFN group chat about kind of what his play might look like, and is he going to have a role on that team? And it's really all up in the air. But so is everything, honestly. But I will say, starters are more. We've technically gotten starters, but I'm assuming we'll those will just kind of just be assumed these last couple of days. But yeah, it's a good signing. Again, a little unexpected, but like I said, they have a good team. It's not really going to be. I don't think it's going to need the quarterback play to really shine. It's really going to be a product of the offense. So, okay, so the UFL Kickoff Challenge. The UFL has really enhanced their marketing and improved their marketing immensely, something we've really wanted them to take that next step on doing, especially with the new teams and the new markets. Like you'd actually be hoping that those things do happen, because you don't rebrand to a new team, to a new stadium with a new fan base for no reason. Like, there is reasons behind an organization that say, we're going to go here and start a football franchise, right? So I'm really glad that they have been improving their marketing efforts, because, yeah, like we said, it was a struggle of theirs. And obviously we know the king, Mike Rapoli, is here to save our league, because he has really been instrumental in a lot of this, and really all this process. His involvement on Twitter is really something to behold. He really connects with fans. He really wants his team's time to be valued, and he doesn't want to waste time. Like, I remember, Diego, you were tweeting about the shop and how it needed fine tuning, and for him to reply to you, it's one thing, but for him to say, like, we're working on it, we're really trying to do our best. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Like, he wants his team, he wants his employees, he wants the league to succeed as a whole. So
something I want to add on to that too is that when I saw that, I'm like, this is a level of transparency that you would not see in any other league, not the USFL, not the XFL. So when I saw him reply, I'm going to be honest, that honestly made my day, because I'm like, wow. Like with a page like me, like, I mean, I feel like that DM Nation is pretty prominent, but not to the levels of like XFL analysts or UFL updates. So like when, just seeing that, I'm like, wow, thanks. But no, I think, like, just as you said, I think he's done some great things. The marketing efforts has gone up through the roof. We'll touch up on that in one of our next topics, but all in all, I'm very excited as to what he's going to bring this season.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that article come out. He's been on a lot of various sports platforms lately, but one thing that he said was that there is no effing owner like me, along those lines, right? And so, like, again, you don't really see those things. He has really given the spark that a league like this needs. I'll just say that. And so, without further ado, the UFL Kickoff Challenge, being one of the new marketing team, whatever you want to call it, one of their new ways to go about this new season, offering 33% off all tickets, I believe so. And every team came out with a statement how it seemed urgent, and it seemed like, okay, we're canceling this, we're doing this, and then at the very end they get you with sorry, that was just clickbait, and yeah, they get you to click on their post. That's all that matters, right? And then you're right there in that Ticketmaster, the TickPick, the StubHub, buying those tickets. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think this is a good approach by the league? And, do you think it'll help increase viewership this season, especially in the stands, as opposed to, behind the screen, or, all of those things?
Yeah, it's exciting. I think it's a great idea. Anytime you can get the fans involved, it's always great. me personally, I was hoping that it was Orlando, so I can get me some more
Yeah.
gear than I already got. But I mean, it just makes fans, hey, go get these tickets. I got to go to this game so I can do this. Anything to get the fans involved is more than we've seen throughout this league. And like y'all said just a couple seconds ago, I think he's doing a great job of putting it out everywhere. I've heard people talk about it, talk about the UFL. I've never heard that before. And so it's great. And it was something that we kind of talked about last year. We was talking about what could they do to improve. So I mean, they're taking great steps, and I just hope it continues to go up from here.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot to be proud of, like as a UFL spring football fan. Like, our podcast has only we've probably seen every approach these marketing teams have taken to wanting to increase attendance, right? And for us to see something like this, like, to read that that they're doing kickoff challenges and they're offering tickets at the third of a price that they are originally offering them. Like, it's new to us and it's very rewarding. And so we're really happy from spring into football. Spring football fans in general should be happy. Those who have followed for 3+ years, the iteration of both the USFL and the XFL should have something to be proud of. So, and I know it's a slow grind, but we're hoping that in year one of the new model with the right types of people, that it can really be a success. So,
And then just really quick, I want to share my screen really quick. I have like the Kickoff Challenge website that's like showing like the live standings of who leads in ticket sales.
oh yeah.
So, okay, here we go. All right. So according to the website right now, currently St. Louis leads. I mean, to no surprise.
Yeah.
Then the Aviators, then Louisville, and the Birmingham Stallions, which recently got a nice boost. The Orlando Storm, Renegades, DC, and Houston. I think like a few things I want to take away is that it's kind of weird to see the Defenders in 7th, but at the same time, you have to remember they do have a week 3 kickoff, so they still have ample time to get things going. They just had a fan fest yesterday, so they'll be okay. And then it's really nice to see the Aviators in 2nd. I mean, they don't host until week 2. That just goes to show that even though it sucked to see Michigan go, that Columbus is still gonna, hopefully show up for this team. And I think a lot of great things to see.
Yeah, and something you could also say is that the halftime shows, which we will touch up on at some point, have really made these better or worse for some of these teams. And I had to ask you, I know you said that teams aren't hosting until a certain week, but do you know if that means that is the kickoff challenge still going to be in place, or is it ending at, pretty recent? Do you know?
I believe it's gonna end this coming Friday.
Okay.
Right when kickoff begins, because I think they're just doing a thing to where they just want to see what fan base is gaining the most momentum, and then I think the most whoever gets it, not only do they get bragging rights, but that also might be as to where the championship might be held.
Yeah, I need to think about that. Yeah, that's a good. Is that your thought, or is that kind of did you kind of come up with it? I mean, because that's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the whole championship thing. I think they hinted at it.
Okay.
I know the bragging right thing is for sure.
Yeah. No. The championship idea is really good. I'm sure. I don't know if myself would be addressing it to Mike Rapoli, but I'm sure maybe if I pitch it to the PFN, one of their more notable pages, or Diego, if yourself wants to pitch it. But I know you want your Stallions to host, so it's not in the cards right now. But hopefully, right?
Honestly, I'll get by with the DC hosting it. I think that's who I want the most.
Yeah, no, listen, I think any team, the hosting would be great. And obviously, what better way to give an incentive? You know, the fan base who buys the most tickets should deserve home field advantage, right? It should feel like a win in more ways than one, right? So, yeah, the kickoff challenge really presents a lot of interesting talking points. So yeah, without a better transition, so the halftime performances for each home opener kind of slowly came out throughout this last week here, and I'm excited to announce that we've really seen a lot of notable names. I think DJ Khaled was our first announcement. Yeah, I could be wrong. AJ, you are the Lone Storm fan, at least in our group chat and on here. What were your thoughts on that? I know it's DJ Khaled. He gets talked in the media a lot about. Okay, I actually mentioned the what does he even do like GIF that he's on. But no, nonetheless, still will be a good vibe. A lot of music. He knows how to bring a crowd. I've seen some of his live work on social media. It looks to be a pretty decent showing. And so, what did you think when you saw that? Were you?
I was somewhat surprised because he was a notable name, but also excited because that means it's positive attention towards the UFL. I'm not sure what he's gonna do because he's a DJ, he has a guest or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's still great. It's great. I thought it was cool. Something to give people something to look forward to go to the game. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and I know he had like another show recently. It was sent in the PFN group chat about like how it was just one of his shows. Like he had the DJ booth, he had music playing. I mean, he's been behind a lot of songs. So again, like you could be hearing a lot of different songs that his title is on. And so that'll make it interesting. Again, it really depends on the crowd and what their reaction is going to be. That'll kind of really piece together the whole thing. But no, I think it should be a good performance. And again, it's only week one. I always say this, but it also applies for us. Like, because I work for an athletic department. So like it's a week one for everyone. It's a concert. It's first time fans are coming out to a game. It's the first time we see a name like this performing at a spring football game. It's the first time we have seen, a game like this, like for the Storm, it's their first game of all time. Right. So like there's certain expectations that have to be had. Like, okay, it's not going to be perfect. Right. Like DJ Khaled he's going to come out, he's going to do his thing, right? And then whatever happens from there happens. Like we can't control the rest. If the fans are pleased with it, then they're pleased with it. But if not, then that's totally fine, right? Because again, it's a week one for everyone. Everyone's learning on the fly, and yeah, everyone's there together. So you could have different fan opinions. You could have. And that's what makes the league great is the different fan opinions. Some people will like him and some people won't like him. And that's what keeps us running is, the diversity of opinions across the league. So, but yeah, Diego, the Birmingham Stallions fan, Gucci Mane being announced in the recent days as your guys' halftime show home opener. Obviously won't take place for a couple weeks until you guys host your first game, but what were your thoughts on that? Were you happy? I know that's, Gucci Mane is a huge name, especially in the southern region of the U.S. Like just with his hip hop presence. So like, what were your thoughts on that, and how do you think he'll potentially storm the crowd and protective?
Well, I think this was a fantastic pick by the league. Can't say I've really listened to too much of his songs, but I know that he is a pretty major name in all of hip hop and rap. And and he's actually from Alabama as well, so that brings a little bit of local presence. I think when I was just going through social media as they announced it, there were just so many people, whether they were already fans of the Stallions or from Birmingham or wherever they were from. A lot of people are excited, and I think this is going to help get a lot of people to the games, which the signs are already showing, as I touched up on about the kickoff challenge. For some time, we were actually in second place, which was really shocking. We dropped the fourth, but that's still pretty big for us. There's new rows, new sections open up at Protective just because Gucci was picked. So, you know, even with us being 4 weeks out from our home opener, it's great things for us. And I think it's really just, what Rapoli's trying to do for us and just try to get us out to the games, I think is really starting to pay off now.
Yeah, and I mean, also to mention that you guys jumped significantly after. I mean, I know you touched up on it, but how Gucci Mane, like after being named the halftime show for the home opener, you guys really skyrocketed in the kickoff challenge leaderboard, and it just goes to show. I mean, people will buy tickets for a good reason. Obviously, the football is one reason, but some people don't always enjoy. Like something we talk about in one of my classes is that, like, if you're calling to a potential customer, they might not enjoy the sport or the medium the game goes through, but they might enjoy the experience instead. It's like getting out to see people. If there's a potential halftime show, then that's great also. If there's, other sponsorships, which again, I'm sure we'll have, like the UFL has done also a really good job. Mike Rapoli's done a fantastic job in activating those. And so there's really been a lot to like wrap our head around, and I'm going to be excited to see how the league will take this approach. So, but yeah, I mean, my reaction to the halftime shows, again, a lot of different names from a lot of different places. Something they try to do, like Diego said, was try to stay hometown, like guys who have roots in that area. Wale was named for DC, who's I happen to know. I don't know if either of you guys know him, but he's a really good, kind of older style type of hip hop rapper. And so I'm sure that DC, like, they try to fit it to the city's, vibe and kind of what they're seeing. Obviously we had a couple country singers be named as well, and Columbus and Louisville. And those are just what the league decides. And kind of if maybe those artists had any interest for reaching out to the UFL, and so obviously they may have, and now we get to see them appear on some of those halftime shows. So overall, I think it's a pretty good lineup, like really all across the board. I really don't have anything to complain about. I will say that people were talking back and forth about it, but as long as it's a good time for that certain amount of people, that certain group of people, I think that's what ends up mattering, right? It's not about the X amount of fans attended this game, but Y amount of fans attended that game. It's not about the competition. It's more about really just the overall experience and what every fan gets out of the individual experience. So listen, it should be a good time, and really the first time we've had something like this where halftime performances have been announced, and getting some of these names as well. Like we haven't really had names live up to this notability, but here we are. It's
what I'm most interested in seeing with these halftime shows is if are they gonna show it on national TV during the halftime, because I think that would be a great thing to do for anyone who can't make it out to the games. Because I mean, as a lot of people know, I'm not actually from Alabama, so as much as I would love to see Gucci live, I can't. So I would love if the league actually puts that performance live. I think it would be great. I mean, Stallions already have pretty high TV ratings from a local presence, so I think that would be a fantastic thing to do.
Well, and I'm sure we'll get, even if they don't televise it, I'm sure we'll get tremendous media coverage, which we have in the past, like with similar things like this, right? But you can imagine it'll be heightened with the halftime performances. Like we'll get more clips, we'll get more videos, we'll maybe just maybe we'll get that one fan you find on Instagram to go live for us, but that's always a long shot, it seems. So AJ, what did you have anything to say?
My brother was actually going to the Stallions game to see Gucci Man. So
Oh really? Okay.
So hopefully he leaves a fan. Hopefully everyone who goes leaves a fan.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like what y'all was talking about. Some people might go for the artist and then they watch the football game and say, "Oh, I want to watch again next week." And that can, at the end of the day, that's hopefully what happens with all this. Other than everybody having a good time.
Yeah, it's really about like you said, like converting spectators to fans. Like obviously it's one thing if you watch the game, maybe you have it on in your background, you're doing chores, you're doing something around your house, but it's really another thing if you sit down, really learn the team, really learn the history of the team, the players, the coaches, and really whatever else the UFL offers with like they're mic'd up and all that great stuff and the social media. A lot of our fans, like Diego and myself, happen to be a part of a lot of group chats that have those fans that have been a part of, really since the beginning of spring football. And a lot of them weren't. I mean, a lot of them weren't original fans. They really they took time to see what the league was about, and it ended up working in their favor. So, that's what it's going to come down to is how many of those people that aren't fans, that might just be coming out for one experience, can we get to, 2 or 3 more games than they were expecting to. So, we'll get to our next topic here. So 2 games flex to NFL Network. We had the TV stations come out, the TV broadcast networks come out for our games last week. And we finally get a glimpse of it. And I'm going to say I'm pretty happy. We're still waiting on broadcasting lineups, which I'm sure we'll get this week. As we actually have in recent years have gotten that out sooner. With a couple days left, I'm sure that's on their mind, and Mike Rapole wants to get that out. But NFL Network week 2 and week 4. My first thought when I saw this is Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner. Are they going to call the games, or is it going to be some potential, secondary or backup commentary crew? But if they were able to, that would potentially turn some heads. I think.
Yeah.
Just with they don't call games, usually because they are put on some of those international broadcasts as part of the NFL season, but they're not assigned as part of the regular Sunday or the regular Sunday broadcasting. So it would be a good opportunity. Again, they don't call many games to begin with, like in the NFL season. They're more of studio broadcasters. So if we could get them on a couple UFL games, again, it's only 2 weeks. The interest has to come from them. But if it's only 2 weeks out of your off season, what it is for them, does it really hurt, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Who do you guys think it could be? You guys have an idea? I know it's pretty early, but those are the first 2 names that come to mind for me. But
that's what I was thinking, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I mean,
I would love if I know this is really unrealistic, but I would love to see Kevin Harlan commentate a game.
Okay.
I think that would only happen if CBS somehow airs the UFL, but that's just something that I would just absolutely love to see.
Well, with March Madness, there are commentating crews that have gone past their other crews. So Ian Eagle isn't calling on what his original crew is for the NFL. He's on a different network now. So it could be something, but again, March Madness is a much more established event than what we have, right? So I'm sure that's more accessible and more allotted than what we think and what we have. But I'm trying to think. I know I did bring up other names. If you guys know Coach Mariucci, Steve Mariucci, and Michael Irvin, those are the other 2 studio broadcasters alongside Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner that could potentially call some games. I know it's still a long shot, but those are the other two people that come to mind when I think NFL Network. So,
And then really quick, I just want to talk about the two games that got flexed. One interesting fact I want to start off with is that both of these games include the Houston Gamblers, which, I think having a little prime time for them will help with, like, just for name recognition in general, but also just this past week, that week 2 home opener in Houston recently got moved to start at 5 p.m. instead, which I know a lot of people were questioning why did they do that, but when you look at it, the original kickoff was at 11 a.m. on Easter, which a lot of people still don't like, but I think moving it to prime time was still the better decision because it's good for viewership, but also helps for a bigger crowd. And then that other game that's now on NFL Network is that one Thursday night game, also in Houston, which I'm very interested to see how that game's going to do in terms of viewership. But I mean, all in all, I think that this is a great thing for the league. I'm sure the NFL Network social media platforms will probably be showing highlights of the games and all on those days. But no, I think it's something different. If it's a success, we could see it for incoming seasons. And no, I think this is going to be really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, we've also thrown the name around Tom Brady, who's also been heavily in the news lately with flag football and Fanatics hosting a flag football game, and his name, obviously he's had a couple broadcasting seasons under his belt, has a real big connection with Mike Ruppolo. Could we potentially see him on a couple games? That should be interesting. Again, we did see him come up for the halftime during the championship a couple years ago. But we want more than that. We want him to call a full game, whether that's play-by-play. Obviously, probably won't be play-by-play, but color commentary. Tom Brady, obviously very well connected with Mike Ruppolo. I mean, they're both involved in Noble, which is actually one of the UFL partners. And so, I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, we know how connected Mike Ruppolo is with different individuals, and Tom Brady he's as good as they come with they're as good as a duo as you might think. So I wouldn't rule Tom Brady getting on a game or two by the end of the season, whether that's NFL Network or another network. He might just be offering. We'll have to see, like maybe like a guest appearance. We'll see if that's in the works. All right, so. Yeah, so we had in the topics here, Mike Ruppolo responding to fan feedback. We kind of already mentioned it. We can maybe get into it a little bit more. Really, he's just his presence on Twitter is really felt, and we talked about it. I mean, he said in an article, like it was like Sports Business Journal or something. He really just feels there isn't another owner in sports like him, and I think I can totally amount to that. He really just. There's no other owner in sports that really wants to hear from their fans and wants to benefit from wants the fans to benefit as much as possible. He's putting the fans first, which is always the best thing. He realizes that, me and AJ were talking about this before the episode started, but he's sold a lot of different companies. Like, he has a background that's very successful. So now he's just trying to pour his gasoline on what the UFL could potentially be. And, we know they have big plans, but now it's about putting them to fruition. And he's done a great job of that so far, I would say. But again, the season needs to play out. We need to see him, work with all these coaches and these players and the fans as well during the season. It is preseason, so I'm not saying that he's not going to stop answering, to the fans during, if you tweet to him during the season. But there is a chance he might, just with how busy he might become. So, what do you guys think? How do you guys think, like, his presence? Obviously, I've mentioned it's very significant, but we know that he's really just had a huge impact on this league, ever since he came in, really since day one.
Well, to start off, I just wanted to add to the fact that not only does he want expansion, I think next year or in 2028, but he said that one day he wants to have 32 teams in this league, which I feel like that's a little too thinking ahead, just because we don't know if this league is profitable yet. But I mean, you could feel the ambition that he feels for this league and that he wants it to succeed. Because I remember seeing a previous report when he first acquired the league that he wants to just try to invest in this thing the best he can, and and that he would actually take accountability if it folds. But I mean, I think his presence alone, just that drive to be successful is amazing. Because I mean, when Dwayne Johnson first took the XFL in 2020, when it was about to fold, he said something similar that when he was playing, and now having the chance to run a league, you could feel those two different contrasts, and just there's people out there that want to make spring football a success. And now my question is, I said this on Twitter earlier, is it possible for Mike Rapoli to finally get Dwayne Johnson out to a game again? Which that's to be determined.
Yeah, that's fair. I listen. I think we'll have to see. There's a lot of unanswered questions right now, but a lot of answered questions, more so than the last couple seasons. I would say a week before the season starts, looking now and the last couple seasons, this season we've had a lot more questions answered, with only a couple days to go. And so that's progress, right? That's what we've been wanting. We've been wanting more answers to a lot of different things. Diego and other members on Twitter asking for the shop to receive some fine tuning, and for the owner to come out and say, we're working on it. Like that's progress, right? We've never seen that before. We've never seen that interaction take place. So it's really a sight to see, and we're hoping Mike Rapoli keeps up that interactivity throughout the season. But if not, we understand, because he's handling and juggling a lot of different things. So all right, so hot takes for the season. This is the most anticipated topic of them all, because there's a lot.
It only sucks that Roth isn't here, because he would be throwing all kinds of takes.
Well, I'm sure. I'm honestly. I mean, he'll be on. Well, like I was telling AJ in the pregame, like when the season comes around and spring football sees the first week, everybody just finds that time where they have enough time to record. Like we might be slam packed in the off season, like how busy we are. But when the season comes around, the games, like just when the games, take place, like we find time for ourselves to come on here and record, because we want to voice our opinions. We want to express our thoughts. Right. And so, Ralph will definitely be joining us. He's mentioned how he's very eager to talk football. I mean, he always is. It could be dead in the off season, and he'll be just wanting to hop on with you to talk about any sort of spring football. So, we will definitely have him on at some point. But for Diego and AJ, you guys are on tonight. What are some hot takes you guys might have? Kind of just, very preliminary. This doesn't have to stick. It doesn't have to be official.
I think in one of our previous episodes, I think Roth touched up on this, but I feel like the DC Defenders are gonna have a lot more to face in these first couple weeks. I feel like a lot of people, in terms of teams, are gonna know how to stop them. I kind of went back and forth about how this DC versus Battlehawks game is gonna shake out in week one, but I feel like DC is gonna struggle in that game. I feel like they're gonna struggle to get momentum. It might not be until the fourth quarter they finally get something going, But going with the Stallions, I think I mentioned this on Twitter, but I feel like Taylor Elsgerma is gonna end up getting a huge shot to start for Birmingham after the first 3 weeks. No disrespect to Matt Corral, but I'm just not sure if he's gonna end up being the quarterback one for the whole season. I mean, the last 2 seasons of the UFL, he never really stuck. It was either injuries or performance, many different factors. But I think another hot take I have is that the Louisville Kings, I think that they will make the playoffs in their first season. They already have a lot of buzz. I think Jason Bean, he's going to be absolutely excellent in this offense. It's going to be interesting for sure how Chris Redmond's going to lead in his coaching debut.
Yep. I will say that. Listen, the coaching staff of the Stallions is a lot more familiar with spring football than a lot of the Kings staff is, and obviously they have a lot of players that are familiar. Jason Bean, not as familiar, was drafted, but ended up going to the NFL instead and picked up and was a part of the Indianapolis Colts. But no, it should be interesting. Again, I don't have as many hot takes. I'm more focused on the predictions. But AJ, if you had any hot takes, I'd love to hear them. Anything like maybe how the team might finish, or really, it could really be anything. I'm not limiting you here.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't have too many. But I was gonna say, I think that these new teams like Louisville and Columbus, I think they'll do very good this year. And I think one of my hot takes is both teams make the playoffs. I think both teams are gonna make it. And the team that I don't have making it this year is St. Louis. I think it's gonna be Columbus and Louisville in the playoffs this year. Even though I'm a Storm fan, I don't know. I that's really the only one of the hot takes I have. I think they're gonna have great fan turnout, and I think it's gonna help later on in the year, and I think that's gonna get them to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that's a great take. The new markets making the playoffs. Obviously, we all want to see that happen just because it's new. It's it's first time in their very young histories to make the playoffs, and there's a lot of players on those teams that have very notable NFL experience. There's guys who are young. There's really a good blend of everything on those teams, and it would be great. Ted Ginn Jr. is another storyline. A player that was in the NFL and was really receiving backlash when he was named the head coach in Columbus. And, if we see him potentially, making a playoff run, I really think that would make for some big storylines. So, but yeah, I do want to say something that will happen next Tuesday, I'm hoping. So I do have a class that the professor asks for sport news at the beginning of every class. And so my goal is next Tuesday, after the first Tuesday after the games start, is to make sure I get a word in about the UFL. I've been meaning to, but potentially I might bring it up this Tuesday or Thursday because it's a Tuesday, Thursday class. So I will definitely, if not this week, definitely mention the week 1 slate, because typically we're just talking about the big 4 leagues and whatever else might occur. UFL has been brought up in some capacity in that class, but I want to increase the awareness. Most of that class is sport management minors or majors like myself, so you can imagine the outreach would only benefit if I told them in some way. So, but yeah. Okay, are you guys ready for your week 1 picks here? I'm going to pull up the schedule, Diego, if you weren't planning on doing that as well.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm going to pull up the schedule for you guys to look at also, obviously. So share my screen here. All right. You guys see it?
Yeah, I see it.
All right. So week 1. So I'm going to let one of you guys kick it off here, but Friday, March 27th, only a few days away. It's crazy how far we've come, and we get to say that now. Birmingham travels to Louisville to take on the Kings for the opening game of the weekend. Should be a real fun one. The attendance is only, I've been trying to check back in on that attendance page as much as possible here with only a few days remaining, but it's looking good from my knowledge. And I always give Diego a hard time that it's going to be a tough environment to play in, but nonetheless, it should be a fun one. So what do you guys have for that game? We can do it like this if you guys want. I might think it could go faster also. We could each go give an analysis, and then maybe just go one at a time. But like I ask you about one game, and then we just kind of go for like that, if that's what you prefer, instead of us doing individual each 4 games.
Yeah.
Does that sound good? Okay. So who wants to start? What do we think about this game?
I can start it off. I think for this game, I feel like Louisville's gonna run the ball a lot, just because of just how much talent they have in that running back room. It's gonna be a huge test as to if this Birmingham pass rush can be ready for this new team as they have entered this electric atmosphere as we already are anticipating. As for the score, I think it's gonna come down to the wire. I think the Stallions just barely pull it off. I can't say I have a score prediction, but I don't know, maybe like a field goal. Potentially the new field goal rule, maybe. Maybe we'll win by a 60-yarder. No, I think this game's gonna be great. The Friday night slates are always a fun thing to watch, and yeah.
Yeah, I will say before you have your prediction for this one, score predictions are going to be a lot harder to come by with the new scoring rules. And so if you don't put a score prediction by the game that we're currently voicing, I don't blame you, because it's kind of be tough. We're going to kind of need a week to play out or more essentially to see how some of these score lines look. So if you don't put a score prediction by any of the games that we're kind of breaking down, I don't blame you, because it's kind of up in the air right now. So Diego, thank you so much. It's going to be a good game. AJ, did you want to get yours out here before?
Yeah. It's like y'all said, it's gonna be a big crowd over. I think it is a close game. But I'm going with Birmingham. I think yes, it's the beginning of a season and they have a new coach, but some of these guys have been playing together for a couple of years or so. So I think they're gonna be more than ready. I think Louisville will have a good team. And it will be a good game, but I don't think I can go against Birmingham in this game.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think Birmingham's a good pick here. We'll do some sort of tracking as well. I believe I forgot who won last year, but I think I'm blanking because this is going to be the 3rd year that we've tracked stats, because I know we did it. We started it 2 years ago.
Are you thinking about like who the Stallions won the first game, or are you talking about the season opener to start the league?
No, I'm saying how we would track who like which each Springing Into Football member chooses like which game. So like how we had records,
who picks the most. Okay.
Yeah. I forgot. I'm blanking on who won like overall last year in terms of the most games predicted correctly. Was it? Because I know 2 years ago it might have been you, or was it you, AJ? Was it you last year?
Yeah, it was the year before, I think.
Was the year? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the year before.
The year before it was you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see if I could pull up really quick who won last year.
Okay, because I mean we should have it in the group chat. If not, then on some Google Doc of some sort. I know we did it on a Google Doc 2 years ago. That's what I remember. But it could be in the group chat. for last year's. But no, for that game, I'm going to have the Stallions also winning. I've mentioned very briefly and in parts that they have more spring football experience really across the board. And so I'm not saying the Kings don't have valuable football experience, but being used to that type of environment and more equipped, I think, are the Stallions to win this game. I think the Kings will figure it out, but it's a tough ask week one. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a great game, but probably have the Stallions winning by one score. If not the field goal Diego said, then maybe a touchdown. Should be close though. I'm not saying I'm not counting Louisville out. I'm just saying that Birmingham should secure it. I think it's going to be the difference of a one-score game. You know, they're gonna have the lead, and then they're gonna probably take over from there and not give the ball back. So, and the game's also on Fox for anybody wondering. And so should be a good atmosphere. And again, we will have the update. I'll be on top of this, bringing it to football page this week in preparation for our week one slate and making sure that we get those broadcasting lineups out, because that is also a big part of why people tune in is who's calling the games. So, okay, we'll move on to the first game on Saturday. The Defenders at the Battlehawks. I think this has game of the week potential. You know, these two teams go back in some ways more than another. Obviously, two original XFL brands. And yeah, just two teams always play tough, always play physical. And this time St. Louis has the upper hand and the home field advantage, right? So DC can't do much about that. But in my opinion, I think I don't know. I think DC is going to come away with this one. St. Louis, you know, their roster is what it is. It's a little bit different. DC's roster looks pretty good. I know, Diego, you were mentioning how you and Raf mentioned in the past, and you mentioned how they're going to have tougher challenges faced with this year. But I do have them taking week one. I think they're able to weather the storm for week one, and overall they should be able to get the win. And I'm not, again, really close. I know it makes it sound like I don't have them winning, but it should be really close. And so I'm excited for that one. I have the Defenders probably winning by the same score line as what I had them winning, what I had the Stallions beating the Kings by probably maybe 3 or 6 points. If a field goal or a touchdown, we'll just say that, because the scoring has deeply changed here for season 2 of the UFL. So Diego, AJ, which one of you guys wants to take this one? Obviously, it's a tough game.
Yeah, it's another great game in their rivalry. You know, we've seen them play. I think DC took the last time they played, I believe, but I think DC wins this game. I think it is another close game, but like they won a championship. I think they're still going to have that same momentum. I think St. Louis might have a little chip on their shoulder because DC got them the last time and they won the championship. And DC also wants to defend that championship. So I think DC wins in a close one on the road. They've won in St. Louis before, and I think they win again.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Diego, what did you have before I get into some final thoughts?
Yeah. I think for this game, I think that the Battlehawks will win on their home turf. I guess you could say it will be the Nelly effect because he will be performing. But no, I feel like that the Battlehawks are just gonna show a lot of promise. I feel like they're gonna actually feed Ja'Cour Pearson the ball, because I know that's one thing that they didn't do a lot in certain weeks last season, and that kind of turned a lot of people off. But I feel like that they're just gonna want to just absolutely beat the Defenders and just put a huge statement in.
Yeah. Listen, I can see that. So you have the Battlehawks winning. Is that correct? Okay. And then AJ, you had the Defenders winning.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a good game as well, and obviously two teams that go, a way back, with at least the short history we've had in spring football, and so it should make for a great game, and I'm excited. Obviously, the first two games are probably the two games with the highest attendance expectations and potentially game expectations because just these next two games aren't as like you don't have the highest the most bright thoughts about these games. Obviously, still really good four teams that we have to get into, but the first two games just look better on paper. Just really evaluate looking at the rosters. I think we can all agree with that. And if Raf was on with us as well, I think he'd also agree. So, but yeah, without we can get into the third game of the weekend. Taking place at 4 p.m. Eastern is the Gamblers at the Renegades. Couple Texas cities battling it out. Battle of the Texas teams, if you would. And on Fox as well. I forgot to mention the Defenders Battlehawks game is on ESPN for anyone, who potentially might be listening on Spotify that wants to tune in this weekend. So this game, though, Gamblers at Renegades being on Fox, what did you guys have in mind for this game? Should be Nolan Henderson versus Luis Perez. If barring a quarterback shakeup the last couple of days before the league starts, but I have the Renegades winning this one. They look pretty good from my view. And again, like I'm not saying that Gamblers don't look good. They look better than a lot of people think. I just probably have the Renegades coming out on top of this one. And I think, really all these games could be really close. This one could be an upset, though. I have the Renegades winning, but I do think the Gamblers do have a chance if they were to come and win this one, being the away team. But they do have both teams are a good squad. So I do have the Renegades winning, but wouldn't be surprised if an upset was to take place. So, what do you guys think about this one?
For this one, I actually do think that Houston's gonna win this one.
Okay.
I think that this is gonna be the upset of the week. They're just gonna come out swinging. But as you mentioned about Nolan Henderson, either him or Hunter Deckers will probably make the start. But I do think that either quarterback will put out a good performance. The Gamblers do have some pretty notable guys on that defense. Anthony Hines, who is coming from the Defenders. Damon Arnett. Who else?
Yeah.
I have the roster pulled up right now, so I'm just Malik Fisher is another noble name. Markel Roby. But it would suck for the Renegades to lose, but at the same time, I feel like that it's going to be one of those games that's going to be unpredictable. And another thing that I think that this is going to be the only snooze fest of this week's slate. I feel like it's just going to take some time for them to find their momentum. But we are in the first few weeks, so the offense does kind of struggle a bit. So, but no, that's my prediction.
Yep. AJ, what did you have for this game? I know it's like Diego said, could be a snooze fest, but I wouldn't be surprised if they figure it out somehow.
Yeah, I also have Houston. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game. Like Diego said, Houston does have some great pieces on defense. I think it's one of those slow week one games. And I could see I don't want to say a score because I don't know yet, but I think it's just low scoring game. Houston defense plays great. Doesn't mean the Renegades isn't going to play good. I just think it's week one, and I think Houston's going to come up with the upset.
Yeah, I will say the quarterback rooms are a little I wouldn't say are a little more shaky for those two teams. You have Taulia coming in for Houston, who is a question mark for now. I don't see him starting, at least for week one. I'll have to ask Raf if he takes that up, if he agrees with that. But Luis Perez, like, good quarterback. I don't know how much he's going to adjust to what is a more younger roster. In the past, we've seen older UFL rosters, but this year there's a lot of youth, more youth, I would say, and so I don't know how well he might adjust to that, but I think the Renegades come out on top. You know, they, again, like I did say they would win. I know you guys had the Houston winning, but the wide receiver room for Dallas is still really good. And Luis Perez knows how to get the football to them, which is going to be huge and should be, a huge part of their offense this year with how much they want to throw the ball. And Day Hunter, their running back, won, so expect him to see a lot of time in the offense as well. So. So without last but not least, our final game of the weekend, a Sunday night game. You don't see that too often. We have had that a couple times in the past with some of our previous league iterations, but seems like they wanted to bring it back, and a night at Inter and Co Stadium in Orlando, where the Aviators come into town. Should be a good one. I'll be watching that one because that's my team. And also worth mentioning, no noon or morning time game for Sunday. So just the Friday night game and then the 2 Saturday games. And then we kind of have that Sunday daybreak, which I think is better because in the past, some of the attendance has fallen short with those with some of those, daytime Sunday games. So it's good to see that they wanted the night slot for this one. So I biasedly, it's my team versus AJ's team. I do have the Aviators winning, but very close again, like all these games are. And I wouldn't be surprised if you guys won. It's Dorian Thompson Robinson versus, believe, it's not Jalen McClendon. Here, wait, I have it pulled up. Don't worry. Yeah, it should be Jalen McClendon. So Jalen McClendon versus DTR is what I'm putting together right now. It is what it should be, but it could be anything. Could be any of those quarterbacks. DTR is probably more of a lock than Jalen McClendon is at this point to start. But yeah, I have the Aviators winning in a close one. Taua is our running back 1. I think he's going to do some great things. Was really underrated with Michigan. So I think he's going to be great. And yeah, I got Aviators winning in a close one. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go Storm in a close game. We got Deshaun Corbin coming back. I think he plays great. I predict Orlando runs the ball more than they throw the ball, especially this first week. So I predict a lot of carries out the running back room. But I do think it's going to be a great quarterback battle and a close game, but I'm going to go with Orlando.
All right, Diego, what about yourself?
I got to agree with AJ. I think the Storm are going to win here. I think they're just going to absolutely just want to prove themselves. Anthony Beck always has that winning mentality. He's just going to want to establish that in week 1. And, I think that this will probably be a bit of a tough game for Ted Ginn in his coaching debut. It's 2 completely different coaching resumes, but no, I think that the Storm will win this one. Deshaun Corbin, KJ Hamler, Chris Rowland, they have a lot of playmakers on that offense. And then the Aviators too, they got some guys as well that can make a lot of noise. Hoatawa, Zakondre Wright, who else? Kiki Chisholm. But no, I think this will be a great game to close out week 1. It could go either way, of course. Don't have a set score. But no, I think this will be a great game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As we will definitely make sure to send these predictions in. And at some point in the season, we'll have scores attached to them as well. We don't really know yet how they're going to look just given, our pre-week 1 predictions. But I will say we will send these in and try to do a much better job of keeping track of our member record predictions for this year, because if we do end up finding last year's record standings, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to kind of get recalled who won. I know AJ won 2 years ago, so if it was him last year, he's looking to take home the three-peat here and take another season of getting these games correct. But yeah, make sure you guys send those in. We'll get into that in the post game in the post episode. But let's see. Do we have anything else? So closing thoughts. Did you guys have anything to kind of round out the episode here? Obviously, we've kind of mentioned a lot of different things at different times, but I think it should be a great weekend all in all. And we should believe we're seeing 4 different halftime shows. Right now, Louisville is looking really good in terms of attendance, and I'm sure I'll mention that before Friday comes at some point, whether that's on Spring Into Football or sending it in the group chat. And so, yeah, what did you get? Did you guys have any closing thoughts? Anything you're interested to see here before we get started in the season? It's crazy. We're already here and we're so excited. This is probably the most excited. Like I remember all the other seasons that we've had this preliminary season episode. Like this is probably, I would say, the most excited we've ever been. So I don't know if you guys can say that too. What do you?
No,
you guys
I would probably have to agree. I mean, there was a lot of excitement coming out of the merger in 2024, but it definitely does not hold up to how everything's been looking. I mean, 2025, I mean, that opening game was kind of a huge disappointment in Houston, and just the excitement wasn't the same as it is now. But I'm very interested to see how the media coverage is going to be, how many newcomers we may have for the league, or just how everyone's going to react to the games. And no, I think this is going to be a great first week.
Yeah. AJ, what about you? Did you have any closing thoughts here before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just excited to see the league start another season. We got a lot new uniforms. Birmingham has new uniforms. We got some new teams. Louisville and Orlando, Columbus. So it's a lot of new things that I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how much the crowd comes out in Louisville. With that being the first game of the year, I hope it's better than some of the games we had last year. But I'm just excited to see how the league looks. I can't wait to see just how the stadiums look and how the crowds interact and how the halftime show go. So it's an exciting first week.
Yeah. I also wanted to say that, like, how the fans react is going to be huge. Obviously, we know how much DC prides themselves in that, and we're hoping other teams also establish some sort of crowd presence. I've been hearing a lot of different things, but I'm really hoping some of them come to life and reality. But it should be a great first weekend. I'm really excited. I know it's been a long off season, but we're really finally ready to get things started. And yeah, things are only going to get more busy from here on out. And obviously we've had a very busy off season ourselves. We've mentioned on Diego was able to put out a post on how we just haven't been able to put out as many episodes as we'd like to, just with what our schedules being what they are. But we're glad we were able to get on the air here for one more episode before the season really kicks off. And we're hoping to follow that same schedule we have in past seasons, where we record once a week. We'll talk amongst ourselves if we feel that we have to do more than that. But that's really what worked for us, in terms of our schedules. It really, accommodated us, pretty good, I would say. So, I'm really excited for another season with you guys. I know I know it's been a long couple seasons here together, but really the first season where we can really say that we're confident in a lot of what the league is doing. So, but yeah, if that's all you guys got, it's all from me. I'm Ferris. Joining me was AJ and Diego tonight. Raf wasn't able to make it, but we will definitely make sure to get him on our weekly show throughout the season. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you guys as well as anybody watching or listening at some of these games and games that will take place throughout much of the season. Have a good night, and thank you guys for joining.
Have a good night.
See you.
See you guys.